Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Now, okay, this all right. Kwesi, let me bring you in.
Well, I mean, I like to start with the words of my brother and friend in the studio. I want to use his words to start my contribution.
Okay.
You know, in his closing statements, he said something very profound. He said that President Mahama means well, and that his problem is that he doesn't know whether all his ministers are in tune with the president. This is remarkable. I mean, for a prominent opposition leader, one who actually aspired to become presidential candidate of his party and so on, to say that the sitting president means well, that's a huge statement, you know. And does not even condemn his ministers. Says he's not sure whether his ministers are in tune with the president. This is a very huge statement, you know. So that's where I like to start from. The other statement of note is that, soul sourcing is not a crime. There's nothing wrong with soul sourcing. It's not a crime. In fact, our laws allow soul sourcing. And I'm not the one saying it. It's my brother here who said that. That it's not a crime. It's allowed. Our laws allow it. It is legal and so on. He said it, not me. You understand? Now, his only problem is that whilst the NDC was in opposition, or President John Dramani Mahama was in opposition, he used soul sourcing against the NPP government. That's the only problem. But then, I listened to my brother again very carefully, and he read portions of the manifesto, which he insists used soul sourcing against his party in the campaign for the 2024 elections. And what those sections in the manifesto said was abuse of soul sourcing. Clear. These are not my words. I'm not the one saying this. He's saying that. That the manifestos actually condemned the abuse of soul sourcing, not soul sourcing. So this is where we are. Now, interestingly, we are told that about 40%.
44%. 44%, we're told.
44.
44%.
44%.
44.
Let's be specific. 44%.
Master, let's say
Since you are being specific with my words, be specific with the numbers I said. 44% is very important.
Okay, no problem.
No, that's fine. I mean, you are being specific with my words, so be specific with the numbers too.
I will even raise the figure.
No, don't. Be 44. Just 44. It's very important.
44%.
Yes.
Fantastic. If you want, let's make it 44.
No. Be specific. You are being specific with my words, so it's okay. Be specific with my words. 44%.
Okay.
Which translates to 176 contracts.
Okay. So 44% of the contracts under the Big Push project.
Yes.
But my brother, let's do a small exercise. Which are the projects? Which are the projects? They include Swami Interchange. I lie?
Yes.
If I lie, just tell me that I lie. Includes Swami Interchange.
Yes.
Includes the redoing of the Accra-Tema motorway. If I lie, tell me, then I will stop. So if you look at the projects that my brother and friend is talking about, at least some of the most important contracts were awarded in the NPP era.
Which was being criticized. 23, let me clarify for 23 contracts out of the 176, which the NDC criticized that were sole source, is part of this 176. So you can take out 23 from the 76. So
well, you disagreed when the NDC was criticizing this. You disagreed with the NDC.
I disagree that what? No, I'm just saying that they criticized it and they are in and they've done 153 more. So why criticize it if you know you're going to do 153 more? So that's the point we are discussing.
Master, I know what we are discussing.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that 23 of the contracts we are criticizing, how they were awarded by your government. In fact, when the NDC criticized the award of those 23 contracts, you said the NDC was wrong.
Nobody said they were wrong.
They are the one right.
No, of course, because sole sourcing is not against the law. You see, the issue
So
is
they
that
were
don't
not right.
demonize. But no, because
So
you are
were they
sidetracking.
right or they were wrong?
What was right? There's nothing wrong with sole sourcing. The MPP did not demonize sole sourcing. Listen, the Nanato didn't stand in Sona in 2 occasions and demonize sole sourcing. It was President Mahama who did that. And if you demonize 23 and you've done 153, how do you justify it? How do you juxtapose those 2 conversations? You demonize 23, but you come and do 153.
Master, perhaps, and from all that you're saying, it is clear that you understand sole sourcing and the laws governing sole sourcing better than I do. And that is why I'm dwelling on your words.
I agree. You can dwell on my words, but you need to also juxtapose the 2 conversations.
So please, allow me to make
Please
my
go
point.
ahead.
You understand? These interjections...
Oh, no, I'm not.
help
Sorry,
me.
I won't interject.
Especially when I'm so weak and you are so strong.
Can you say that? Uncle Kwesi, stop that.
Oh, but you have all the facts. So please, I beg you, allow me to say what I want to say. Do you understand? Because you are so strong. So you are saying that 23 of those contracts were awarded by you, sole sourcing. Master.
Yes.
And you have said that sole sourcing does not break the law. It is normal.
Yes.
It's lawful. You are saying that. So I started listing the contracts which you awarded. And so now the biggest contracts. You understand? The biggest contracts. Swami Interchange. The redoing of Accra Tema Motorway and so on. You did it. You awarded it on sole contract. So when you were in power, you thought there was nothing wrong with it. Today you are not in power, there's something wrong with it.
I'm not saying there's something wrong with it.
Oh, so there's nothing wrong with it.
You see, you're not, that is why you're not averting. No, because you're not averting the conversation. You see, you listen to me attentively because you've been able to quote a few things and a lot of things I've said. The point I'm making is that do not condemn, demonize something in opposition, come into power and do 3 times what you demonized.
Even if it is right.
So why did you say it was wrong?
Even if
why did you say it was wrong?
Me?
No, why did the NDC say it was wrong?
I fight with NDC.
No, but you are defending it.
No.
So what are you defending?
Master, I'm only testing
That.
for logical and factual consistency. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. I'm not taking a position. I'm just testing for factual and logical consistency.
Okay.
So you said that this award of contracts on the basis of sole sourcing was lawful, there was nothing wrong with it, and so on. Be consistent.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Just
the consistency is not on the side of the NDC though.
No, but you be consistent.
I'm consistent. I have nothing wrong with it. But the NDC,
So
the
have nothing wrong with
conversation
it.
I am having today is that somebody put it in their manifesto. Uncle Kwesi, that's
Yes,
why
sir.
I quoted the manifesto.
Yes, sir.
But you said abuse. If somebody has done 23 and you come and done 153, you know you've abused the process,
Of
right?
a good thing.
Of 1 year. Yes, but it was a good thing when you said it wasn't.
You
no, but the
claim to have
NDC
done
said it wasn't.
23 of a good thing.
Yes,
NDC
and somebody has. I know
did
when it was being done, they said it was bad.
Of a good thing.
No, they
Why
said it
are you
was an
complaining?
abuse. No, but they said it was an abuse
Why are you
because
complaining?
Uncle Kwesi, did you mention abuse of the process? You mentioned it, right? Abuse of process.
What you read.
Yes, in their manifesto, abuse of process.
Yes.
So they thought 23 was abuse of process.
Yes. And you
What is-
disagreed with them.
No, it's not. It's not my manifesto. That's their
you
manifesto.
disagreed with them.
They disagree with me. I don't disagree with them.
Oh, so
they
you
are
agree
saying
that,
no.
that it was abuse of
No,
process.
I don't think it's an abuse. I
you
have done
disagree
23.
with
No. I have done 23.
Yes.
They
And
are
you
saying
don't
that the
think there was an abuse of
23.
process?
No, I don't think so because I've done 23.
Fantastic.
No, but hold on, Uncle Kwesi. They, the NDC,
Fantastic.
are saying that 23 is an abuse of process.
Yes.
They have come and they've done 153.
Yes.
Which one is abuse?
Okay. But you disagreed with the NDC that the 23 that you had done was abuse of process.
Was not abuse. No, was not an abuse.
So
How was
you
that an abuse?
disagreed. You disagreed with them.
That what?
that 23 out of the 100 and something.
No, Uncle Kwesi, let's put this in this
Why do you
perspective.
make
You
discussions
are
so
just saying that you
difficult?
want to do perspective and the words, the beautiful words that you use, right? The perspective of this is that there is a government in place today that was in opposition 2 years ago.
Yes.
They bastardized and demonized something when somebody has done 23 of it. Today, there's 176 sole source contract on the sole source contract on the table. The 176, 23 of it is from the previous administration.
Fantastic.
No problem.
Yeah.
The MPP government did not ask the NDC to do politics with sole sourcing.
Yes.
Nanado did not tell John Mahama, His Excellency John Mahama, that when he does his SONA on 2 occasions, he should hammer on sole sourcing being a thing of the past.
Fantastic.
He wants to minimize it. His words, the president's words is that I will minimize sole sourcing.
Yes.
Is 153 a minimization of 23? Is it? Since you are being impartial.
So is that your problem?
Yes, that's my problem.
Oh.
When somebody says one thing and does the other, that's my problem.
Master, should I continue?
Yes, please.
And say what? He has said everything.
No, but you are defending, so defend it through.
Oh,
or you can't defend
defending
it. So back me on the call that politicians,
Master,
when opposition, should say what they can do when they come into power.
Sorry.
Back me on that call.
This morning is difficult.
No, but back me on that call, Uncle Kwesi. At least help me.
Has been a very difficult one.
At least help me.
Tomorrow.
Uncle Kwesi, help me on this
Why do
conversation.
you
Let's
punish
join
me?
hands, Uncle Kwesi. Let's join hands and back me on that for Ghanaians that when in opposition, do not say things you would rather do more when you come into power.
Tomorrow.
Let's join hands on that.
Let me ring the bell.
Tomorrow.
Let's take a
Tomorrow.
break.
Listen.
I beg, let's take. No, we have to go now.
I beg you.
Uncles, we have to go.
Do you realize
We have to take a break.
the kind of punishment you have inflicted upon me?
No, there's no
I'm
punishment.
sorry.
Uncle Kwesi, stop that. Stop that
sorry.
issue.
This is the most difficult conversation I've had on this platform.
Okay. Managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Okay, yes, you were actually on the floor, but I had to take a break.
Yeah, I was only complaining
Yes.
that you have really punished me this.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Uncle Kwesi,
This
stop
is
that.
one of
You're
the
not
most-
punished.
So
No,
difficult
you have been
conversations.
punished.
Yeah, can you be
This has been
punished?
one of the most difficult conversations I've had on this platform.
Why? Why is it difficult?
You didn't see the difficulty.
All I'm saying is that let's hold hands.
But anyway, let's
move. Let's hold hands and move forward. Moro, let me say something quickly.
Yes.
And this is the point that I wanted us to discuss. You see, I have advocated for fuel prices not to be used as politics.
Yeah.
Because you, the politician, don't control the elements of fuel price.
Right.
Electricity, let's not use it as politics because you don't control the elements of what the electricity price becomes. I think one of the things that gradually now it has become that we should stop using procurement practices as politics because both parties, the MPP and the NDC, has basically come to show that there are agencies when they come into power, and they will always use the agency as a conduit to do selective and so sourcing. So we should stop it. So from going forward, I honestly don't want the NDC or the MPP to use that as politics because if somebody has done 153 today, right? The next Dr. Baumia government that comes in on the 7th of January 2029 will probably do 200. I don't know because of the agency of the day, right? So I don't want to sit here and say that we are bastardizing. If it wasn't for the insistence of President Mahama in 2 occasions in his SONA speech and in their manifesto that they keep hammering sole sourcing and demonizing, this will not be a topic.
Okay, so let me read this to you from Sami Jemfi.
Oh, Sami is watching?
Who is a chief executive
Sami is watching?
of GOAT. He watches the show every day.
Oh, interesting. Okay, read his message and
Yes.
let's hear what he has to say.
Now, this is the thing. He says the deplorable state of our roads is one of the biggest national security threats we face as a country. Bad roads have claimed many lives through fatal road accidents, armed robbery, etc. I am reliably informed that the surveying, designing, and costing of big push road projects alone took the Ministry of Roads about 7 months to complete. Resorting to the National Competitive Tendering process for the award of these critical road projects would have taken another couple of months before the projects could even commence. This could have delayed the completion of most of the projects beyond 2028. Competitive tendering processes have in some cases lasted for months. A typical example is a competitive tendering process for the road toll project that has not still been completed in about a year due to its complexities. Section 40 of the public procurement law provides for single source procurement method on grounds of urgency, among others, subject to the approval of the public procurement authority. Thus, sole sourcing is lawful. The unjustified use and abuse of sole sourcing is what President Mahama and the NDC have always condemned. There is not a scintilla of evidence in the Fourth Estate publication that shows that the use of sole sourcing was unjustified or that there were any breaches of the law or abuse of the process. Neither was any evidence of the cost of the projects being inflated adduced by the Fourth Estate. In opposition, the NDC never said sole sourcing was a sin or unlawful. We only preached against the unjustified use and abuse of sole sourcing in the world of government projects, some of which were established by the Auditor General to be inflated. In fact, some of us cited audit findings of the Auditor General to show that sole source Cocoa Road projects, some of which were awarded to Bamia's brother, were inflated. In the case of the Big Push and projects, all projects that were awarded through sole sourcing received prior PPA approval, as same was justified on grounds of urgency. Value for money audits were conducted. The contracts were not awarded to a select few, but rather carefully selected multiple competent and experienced contractors with demonstrable capacity to complete the works on time. None of the contracts have been established to be inflated. The urgency of the projects cannot be denied, and like all road projects, payments are based on actual work done, certified by independent consultants. As a matter of fact, 23 out of 84 big push projects, such as Swami Interchange of Fanko, Insawa Medenta, Dodowa, etc., are inherited road projects that were all awarded by the previous MP government through sole sourcing with no dedicated funding. This government has simply novated the projects, maintained the contract and provided for funding for them under the big push policy. The 23 road projects were not re-awarded. Yet the Fourth Estate had mischievously added all these projects to their list of sole source contracts awarded by this government. Clearly, they could have done a better job. So what is the point really? The NDC spoke against sole sourcing in the past. True. So every resort by the NDC to sole sourcing government must be condemned? Is that a logic being canvassed by the Fourth Estate and Kwadwo Poku?
Okay, so let's frame that. You know that beautiful message Sami Jamfi have sent?
Yes.
Please, let's cut it and frame it and put it on the wall.
Okay.
Because you know what? There is a lot of relativity in the conversation that he's having. He's on the seat now, right? And I'm surprised he didn't clarify the 834,000 for the,
but I'm sure he said
the 85.
Please,
Sami, please clarify that. The 800, oh, sorry?
You know, he's still a national communications officer.
So he signed that as it, but it pertains to him. Since Sami is watching, he should clarify that. Okay. The 834,000 Ghana cedis for the 85-inch TV, was it for one TV or was it for multiple TVs?
Oh, it cannot be for one TV.
Yeah, but on the document that is public, it says there's no quantities. There's no quantity. Bro, Sami is watching. Let Sami help us clarify. He sent a message. I'm sure you clarify it right now. I'm saying that let's cut this Sami message and put it on the wall. Okay. Do you know why?
Oh, yes.
Because now that he is in power, he has the facts and he's telling us this. He was in opposition. Somebody was in power. The person told him this. He didn't believe it, and he made those utterances. He should wait.
Okay.
When we come in January 7th, 2029, then we will look through the contracts that he's awarded and tell him whether they are justified or they are not inflated. Let's wait. But let's cut this for now. Let's frame this and put it on the wall.
Okay. J.C. Buakun is a political marketing expert. What is factual and politically consistent? You see why I always disagree with Uncle Kwesi. For the record, I'm watching the show live, and on this same platform with Randy Abbey as a host of Good Morning Ghana on countless occasions, where Uncle Kwesi constantly argued that the use of sole sourcing and restricted tendering undermines the Public Procurement Act. A few years ago, he reacted to the various procurement-related controversies such as this $1.7 billion sole source contract involving the Ministry of Finance. Again, in 2025, my uncle reacted to claims.
He is lying. All the things he's attributing to me are false. Never discuss them. You should stop doing this. Just sit in your office and this. It's not true.
All right. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. MPP as a political party,
it's not true.
What they're doing is that they could, MPP as a political party is doing all that they can to establish false allegations against this government. They are not happy because there have not been a single scandal against any appointee in this government, and for that matter, they are trying very hard to get one. I have listened to Kwadwo Poku, and the question I want to ask him is that have they been able to establish any wrongdoing? So because of this, we should vote for Bawumia. Is that what he's telling us? They should give us a break. We have a country to govern. Andrew Ejapa Mesa, former MP for Second, he sends this message. Now he says, the crux of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, is that the NDC condemned MPP for using single source procurement for the execution of some urgent and necessary works. They described it as a means of stealing from the public purse and as a consequence corrupt. They proceeded to promise in their reset manifesto that when elected into office, single source procurement will be a thing of the past. They will amend the law to reflect that. The people of Ghana believe the NDC and voted massively against the MPP. The president re-echoed this in the second SONA, that single source will be a thing of the past. To turn around today to embark on the same processes that they described as a conduit for corruption under the guise of agency is nothing short of not only betraying the trust of the people, but also disingenuous. Now, if the framers of the new law, if the framers of the law intended for every government to finish all projects started within the tenure, they need to go through competitive tender process, as the norm would not have been included in the law. Let no one throw dust in our eyes. 179 single source contracts in the logic of the NDC is nothing short of corruption. This is not what the NDC promised Ghanaians. Now, Duke Anyimedu says, good morning. Is Uncle Kwesi saying that he never attacked sole sourcing under the MPP? He wants to know. Professor Ashikwe from Asylum Down says, Kwadwo is one of my favorites. Now, when in the course of the show, he became vehemently restless and vociferous, introducing the big push topic over and over again, overlapping other very important topics, I was thinking that there was going to be some serious revelations over some corruption dealings. Moro, Ashok Small is much ado about nothing. Remind him that comparing numbers marks a wicked and deliberate attempt to trivialize the big push. Big push is nothing close to the concerts that have happened in the past. This is a big deal. I like the fact that he praises JM. Interesting times. That's from Ashikwe. Tafai Namrahan says, good morning, Moro and your guest. Audu, Ghanaians don't care about the MPP-MT demands. They are only interested in seeing their bad roads being fixed. Audu, whether the contracts were awarded through sole source or open tendering, Ghanaians are happy to see their roads being taken care of by a responsible government. Mystic Wonder Vuko inside in Sawama Joji says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. For now, for how long this mini micro minority continue to organize needless, fruitless press conferences? We need a credible opposition party that would not be opposing everything for opposing sake, but rather put the government on its toes, provide alternatives and spare our ears with this cacophony. Never again to this nepotistic nation wreckers. Samuel Brian Boabing says that, Moro, I have decided not to repeat the conduct of members of the NDC towards President Kwadwo. Conduct I found deeply uncomfortable and wholly condemnable for anyone who occupies the highest office of the land. This is why I have chosen to slow down on many fronts. Yet the hypocrisy of some enablers of President Mahama makes restraint difficult. Now, when Nana Akufo-Addo first championed reparations for Africa, the United Nations, and condemned the transatlantic slave trade, he was vilified and mocked at home by the NDC and some members of the government WhatsApp group. Today, those same voices celebrate President Mahama for advancing a position they once ridiculed. Is it because it was Nana Akufo-Addo then? That is not principle. This is convenience. I vividly remember one of the former friend of brother in government writing on this timeline, after all the IMF, COVID-19, gold, oil, cocoa, timber, bauxite, etc., money stolen, you, President Akufo-Addo, still want reparation money to steal? As Hamlet might lament, frailty, thy name is, but here it's not frailty, it is inconsistency. Principles, where art thou? Samuel Brian Boabin sent that message. Duke Anyimedu is back. He says, in fact, President Mohammed's second SONA was just a month ago. While he spoke and touted that sole sourcing won't happen under this government, it had already happened. What sort of leadership is he serving Ghana? Please ask Kwesi if he's comfortable with this. Now, Prince Henry, who is Prince, you said you're aspiring for the Eastern Regional NDC Communications Office or something like that. Anyway, I can only wish you well. Prince Henry says the MPP is just a nation record simple. It's just a nation record simple. Same people used our money for needless national cathedral, and they still have the right to talk about it, to talk again now. The MPP that scammed God of building national cathedral for him and later turned the place into a crab hub, has the nerve to call the NDC government a scam. May God help keep the MPP in opposition for more than 32 years. Amen. That's come from Prince Henry from Koforidua. Now, Edie Mukhtari says, please ask. Now, Edie.
The amen. Was it from him or from you?
Oh, no, it's from him.
Okay.
Oh, no,
I just want to be sure.
say
I just want to be sure. Because you said it and said amen.
No,
so I was wondering whether amen was from
somebody's.
Okay.
I'll only say amen if the message says you.
No, the way you said amen.
You for be rich and be made a running mate, then I say amen. But the other one, Kojo! Kojo!
Read the message.
Anyway,
Let's
so
go.
Idi Muktari says that please ask Opoku whether he knows that his Ashanti Regional NPP chairman, Wontumi, was awarded 20-kilometer Cocoa Road at a cost of £45 million, which wasn't executed during the NPP government. Is it pounds or dollars? It has to be in dollars. Secondly, another Cocoa Road contract awarded to Dr. Mahamir's direct blood brother, which he never executed. Was those contracts also so sourced? Was those contracts so sourced or was on competitive tendering? The NPP should stop searching for problems when there is none. The NPP should sit down to reflect and strategically reorganize themselves and their party. Other than that, what they're doing currently is they are dwindling deep down and causing even more harm. Okay. Now,
on the 85-inch TV.
Which one is that?
Sammy, I asked, he's watching.
No,
I asked him.
He hasn't responded.
He hasn't responded.
Yes,
okay.
He hasn't. Yes. So Edward Kariwe, who's the General Agric Workers Union, says hello to everybody. Says he's enjoying the conversation. And then also, let me look at this. And then Martin Yesi as well, who's the former Minerals Commission boss. He said I say hello to all of you and that he's enjoying the conversation. Now, Kwadwo Poku is back. It says, again, Kwadwo Poku brings us to Standogbe. Where was he when the MP justified Ken Ofori-Atta collecting loans on the balance sheet of Ghanaians and collecting percentages on the loans he collected? Did Ken Ofori-Atta not tell us in Parliament that his company had made over 150 million cedis in commissions on the loans he had collected on our books? Where was Kwadwo Poku then? Please, Ken Ofori-Atta is still at large trying to get citizenship from another country to escape accountability. Why aren't you talking about that, Kwadwo? Said, did the Akufo-Addo not do politics with sole source in 2016? Why aren't you saying anything? Did Kwadwo Poku only emerge after 2016? Now, this one here, that Sani Saliu says, culture may be our heritage, but factors like people's tastes and preferences, dynamism to curb stasis and monotony, and the new era have helped to either shape or modify it to suit us. The Hausa hat, for instance, was originally made by hand, but now majority of them are sewn and they're beautiful. Let's encourage ourselves and go with the flow. Stealing ideas isn't bad at all, especially when they're improved upon. Alas, the discussion around sole sourcing championed by the fourth estate and the minority is much ado about nothing but an ugly cacophony that jars our ears. Good morning, Sandy Saliu sensed that. Carlos from Odododio says, please remind the MP presidential candidate that if he's talking about bastardizing processes, he should reflect on what Nana Akufo-Addo said in 2016 before the elections, especially regarding the sole sourcing, and compare that to what they actually did while in government. What the NDC is saying is clear. Where sole sourcing is used, it must be justified and done properly, not for personal benefit. The concerns being raised are about conflict of interest and the inflation of contract values. However, in this case, there's no evidence of inflated contracts, nor is there any indication that a family member is connected to the contract. He should carefully examine the issue before speaking. At the moment, it appears he's speaking without a proper understanding of the matter. They are trying hard to find fault with this government, but have been unable to do so effectively. As a result, they jump on any allegation they hear without proper verification. This approach weakens their role as an opposition meant to hold the government accountable. It is quite disappointing, Carlos, and I say, God bless you. Now, this one here from Reverend Samuel J. of the PNC says, good morning, Moro, and your panel. Moro, concerning the way our ancestors were treated, if you have the opportunity to certain place in America where such brutality took place, I tell you, if you're not careful, you would hate the white forever. I am confident Africa will be able to achieve much from this initiative. Moro, touching the national issues as much as MP have the right to come out boldly, I will be very grateful if they take their time to sit back for some time and study situations very well. Their performance is so fresh in our minds. Have a nice day. Anyimedu is back. Duke, he says, please tell Kwadwo Poku that Ken Ofori-Atta's data bank was making money through commissions from government borrowings right from the Rawlings, Kufuor, Mills, and Mahama 1 era. They didn't start making money on government borrowing under Akufo-Addo. Mansa Musa says, just a good morning to Kwadwo Poku and senior brother Kwesi Pratt from Mansa Musa based in London. Now, Tafan Amreha says, good morning, Moro, and your guests. How do Ghanaians don't care about the MP demands? They are only interested. Okay, I think I've read this already. And then let me end with this one finally before we go. So Moses Gbawe, I believe, he says that as a retired public sector auditor, I have worked with the Public Procurement Act for years. I'm surprised that after 23 years, we have not reviewed the act to close the loopholes that both governments have complained about